Happening now, Jack Smith resigns from the Department of Justice. Another victory. Welcome to Doug in Exile. The Doug TenNapel channel. We've been covering Jack Smith for a long time and waiting for this day. And it's official now. I got the article here at Politico. We're just going to read it together and I'll provide a little commentary. Special Counsel Jack Smith resigns from the Department of Justice. The special counsel's departure was disclosed in a court filing submitted Saturday afternoon to U.S. District Judge Aileen Cannon, his main bad guy. I don't know why he submits it to her. If you guys know why, you can tell me in the comments below. Why did he submit it to her instead of to Merrick Garland, who appointed him? Special Counsel Jack Smith has completed his work on 2 criminal investigations of President-elect Donald Trump and resigned Friday from the Justice Department. Word of Smith's departure came in a footnote to a court filing Justice Department officials submitted to U.S. District Judge Aileen Cannon Saturday afternoon, urging her not to extend a court order she issued last week, temporarily blocking the release of his final report Smith submitted to department leaders on Tuesday. So he tried getting that thing sent out to the public again, and she's keeps denying it. Trump keeps doing emergency injunctions, trying to stop it from getting out in the public. This is just part of the warfare that they've been doing back and forth, and Jack Smith lost. Justice Department officials say Cannon's order overstepped her authority and that she has no power to block Attorney General Merrick Garland from releasing Smith's findings. Her ban on disclosure of Smith's report currently runs through Monday. Garland has said he plans to release publicly only the portion of Smith's report that covers his investigation into Trump's effort to subvert the 2020 election. And what good is that going to do now that he's been reelected? This is just a tantrum, meaningless tantrum, even if Merrick Garland does his worst. The Attorney General has said in court filings that he agreed with the recommendation from Smith to keep the other volume, which addresses the probe into Trump's possession of a raft of classified documents at Mar-a-Lago after he left office in 2021. Keep it under wraps due to the prosecutor's ongoing efforts to revive a criminal case against 2 Trump allies. That would be De Oliveira and Nauto, his security guard guys, and former co-defendants. Instead, Garland intends only to show that report to a handful of members of Congress. Now, if the handful of members of Congress, by the way, one of them that is qualified to see that report is going to be Jamie Raskin, so he's going to release it to members of Congress, and then they can leak it freely to the LA Times, is what the plan is. Smith's resignation before the end of President Joe Biden's term was widely expected and foreshadowed by other Justice Department officials. Trump has repeatedly urged that Smith be prosecuted for his handling of Trump cases and has even suggested that he will be thrown out of the United States. So let's hope that he gets kicked out of the country, Jack Smith, that he could go back to The Hague, they said. And by the way, Mike Davis on Twitter just saw this article, and his comment to Jack Smith is, lawyer up. So they intend to, I believe, Trump intends to have an investigation of some kind where they are actually under subpoena power and can make him turn documents and emails over, hopefully to shake out the formal conspiracy, the formal orchestration between the White House and Fani Willis, perhaps even Letitia James, Alvin Bragg. Smith's departure ends one of the most extraordinary and tumultuous chapters in the Justice Department's history, resulting in grave criminal charges against Trump, the first former president to ever face prosecution. That's not because of anything Trump did. That's because the most radical Marxist lawfare that our country's ever seen was launched by the Biden administration, specifically through Merrick Garland. But both of Smith's cases were stymied by the courts because they were fraudulent. Cannon dismissed the documents case in July, ruling that Garland lacked the authority to appoint Smith in the first place. So even if he resigns, he should have resigned back then. And the Supreme Court sidelined the 2020 election case for months while it considered Trump's claim to be immune from charges, resulting in a landmark ruling enshrining sweeping presidential immunity because they don't want, excuse me, they don't want the previous administration to be able to influence or affect when you're president and you're terrified when you get out of office, they're going to throw the book at you. So the president ought to be immune. And by the way, the spirit of that law of presidents not fearing persecution really should have held 10 days before Trump was inaugurated in that Juan Merchan case. The idea that they're going to keep that going and allowed him to the Supreme Court allowed them to sentence Trump goes against the spirit of that whole immunity clause, which is to keep this stuff from happening. And Justice Roberts and Amy Coney Barrett made the wrong decision. Ultimately, it was Trump's election to a second term that ended both cases. That is, this kind of lawfare would continue if Trump didn't win. That's the most important thing in this whole thing. If the Democrats win next time, I don't expect the same treatment. They might very well be allowed to prosecute him all they want. Smith dropped his pursuit of both prosecutions shortly after Trump was declared the winner, citing the Justice Department's longstanding policy against prosecuting a sitting president. So they're trying to do this legal kind of hair splitting where they're going, he's not president. He won the election, but we can still go after him because he's not seated yet. Or that he was president, but now he's out of office, so we can remove the statute of limitations and have E. Jean Carroll go after him. Or we can go back into his deep, far-reaching previous business records through Letitia James. This is a sham. The spirit of the law is the president should get immunity, not because he's incapable of doing anything wrong, but because you don't want to encourage political prosecution of an opponent like Trump. And that's where our legal system is failing across the board. I don't need to read the rest of this article because the rest of it goes into Jack Smith pretty much resigned. He's resigned. He's done. We have the resignation of Christopher Wray. We have all of their law team, Brat, and all these the lawyers that were running up against Trump. They're all skipping town. So far, the only one left standing is Merrick Garland. Trump's going to replace him with Pam Bondi when he becomes president. That guy's gone now. He may hold on to the bitter end, but we'll see. I expect the last resignation of these clowns to be Merrick Garland and Alejandro Mayorkas, or they're going to get canned. I'm Doug in exile.